in some ways the fire has brought us an opportunity that we probably wouldn't have had.
All you've decided to do since then is try and ready 2 Cupras for Not Kill in about 2 days, then decide that you're going to bring an all-new car for this year's championship. You must be quite a busy man.
Was this an opportunity to kind of take the money and potentially leave the championship with the money for the touring cars, or to be crazy enough to commit to building 3 new cars?
Since I joined BTCC, I've always been under the same umbrella. You know, it's a big opportunity for me to work with new people and very experienced people.
We've already set that bar, that a podium in its first race weekend.
You're aiming for the highest position physically possible. You know, things like the Jack says should come naturally with those things as well.
Jason Plato, he is back in a totally different guise.
He used to give me a fair amount of stick as the team principal, and now he's in that role himself. He will experience some pains from the other side of the fence.
What is the biggest animal you think you could take in a fight?
A gorilla, man.
A what?
A gorilla.
You think you can take a gorilla in a fight?
Why not?
Who is going to win 2026 British Touring Car Championship?
Me back myself.
You're backing yourself?
Why not?
To be honest, I'd have been really, really annoyed if he just said anything else.
I admire that. Qualifying is a very exciting thing.
From your point of view, would you class yourself as a better racer or a better qualifier? So we're here at the Piston Club, an automotive-themed venue that's actually part of the PowerMax family, for the first episode of the BTCC podcast.
We're doing our first ever one with the guys from PowerMax. We've got Martin, the team manager, Adam, team owner, team principal, a new driver, Dexter Patterson, who we've just recently announced. Welcome along, gents.
Hello.
Hello.
How are we all doing?
I'm good, thank you. Good.
A busy winter. I suppose with the team that we're talking to, first and foremost, we should probably go further back. And I know we don't want to kind of reminisce too much because we've done a lovely piece today. But in fact, funny enough, we said it's 6 months yesterday since the fire. Just talk us a little bit through what you guys all went through during that period.
Bit of a whirlwind. It was obviously very devastating, lost absolutely everything, kind of lost our home, our workplace, our race cars, absolutely everything. Managed to get back on track the same week through the kind generosity of people like the Patterson family and many other people around the country lending us various different bits and for us to go racing. But obviously we're now very much focused on what we're doing in 2026. It's given us the opportunity to build new cars for the 2026 season, which we're really looking forward to getting them out there and basically focusing on what we want to be focusing on rather than talking about a horrific fire. It's time to start kind of rewriting our history a little bit with something a little bit more positive.
And Martin, when did you question your career choice? Because since
10 years ago.
All you've decided to do since then is try and ready 2 Cupras for Not Kill in about 2 days, then decide that you're going to bring a all-new car for this year's championship. Not even mentioned the TOCA Junior Championship for 2027 yet. So you must be quite a busy man.
Yeah, it's been hectic, but you know, I've got to give credit to everybody behind us. You know, it's not me doing it. There's a vast team of people. So obviously, when the disaster struck, everyone was gutted, but cracked on straight away. You know, people went up to Knockhill on the Sunday of the day after the fire to start prepping and all that sort of stuff. So people just got on with it, and I don't think really had time for it to sink in, to be honest. And then the season's crashing on, and you go, well, we've got to do a new car now. So then it's like, okay. And in the meantime, Adam had sorted out a new home for everybody, to new workshop. So the winter's sort of been, you know, prepping that, and only moved in January. So there's loads going on. And yesterday we took delivery of the first touring car shell. So we thought it was busy, but now it's busy.
That's what I would have said myself, to be honest. Like, people think we've been busy till now, but it really ramps up a lot from now till certainly the end of February, beginning of March. I mean, it's not going to ease off at that point, but the busy period is just about to start.
I think people often forget with all of our roles, they always think, what do you guys do in the off season? But they don't realise that I think that's kind of our bread and butter this season, isn't it? In terms of, we all know what we're doing, like when the season starts, but this is the real critical time. Were you already planning or thinking of bringing a new car in prior to the fire anyway, or?
No, I think is the simple answer. I mean, coming into the off season, that's something that kind of is always a difficult one for me because so many people say, oh, I'm sure you get this. Oh, I'm sure you're going to enjoy the rest. I bet you enjoy having a few months off now. And I'm like, are you mad? This is where I work the hardest. It gets easier for me once we get to the race season. But in terms of building new cars, it wasn't a realistic opportunity. You know, the cost of everything is vast. Everything. I'm not just talking about BTCC. You know, the world has, or certainly England's become a very expensive place to live. So I suppose the economics of building a new car weren't really practical. So in some ways, the fire has brought us an opportunity that we probably wouldn't have had without that fire. It sounds like maybe I set fire to it myself, but I promise you I didn't. I wouldn't go through that for any amount of money ever again, to be honest. But it has weirdly brought us, I suppose, an opportunity for kind of new shoots to grow. You know, we've been paid out on the touring cars that we had, and that gave us the opportunity to start from scratch. Really, I think the only real decision was, did we do it again? You know, was this an opportunity to kind of take the money and potentially leave the championship with the money for the touring cars, or to be crazy enough to commit to building 3 new cars?
And we will get back to the appeal of BTCC, and I know it's an annual thing that keeps us all coming back. And same for drivers, Dexter. It's people talk about the off season. That's probably again one of the most challenging times for a driver, isn't it? The driving's the easy part, but the off season is a big deal for you guys, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you go from being in a car every second week and your brain's always in, I don't know, race mode, and then it sort of just finishes. And you know, unless you're racing in different championships over the winter, then it's actually quite difficult because, you know, you go in the sim and the house and stuff, but it's still only so close to the real thing. So yeah, you know, it's coming in so fast. Even though we only finished in, what was it, October, now we're already in February, and we've only got 2 months really till we start. So it's coming in quick, but when you think about how long you've actually been out of the seat for, it's quite a long time. So I guess it's just about try to keep your mind in it and keep refreshed.
It's also not just like people think it's simple that I just choose that I want Dexter in the car. Dexter decides which team he wants to come to, and it's as simple as that. But these guys and girls are having to work really hard with the teams and with sponsors to help bring in the funds. You know, it doesn't matter if you may well be a fantastic touring car racer, but if you haven't got the commercial acumen to actually help the teams raise the budgets to go racing, you're going to find it very difficult to get in a car. So, you know, these guys are having to do a lot of work away from the circuits to attract people to the sport and want them to put stickers on the side of the car and pay for the privilege of being there. So there's a lot that goes into being a BTCC driver these days.
Yeah, I mean, we could do a podcast just on that. I think the complexity is sometimes, you know, if people don't understand what goes into it. I mean, even during a season, are you able to, unless you've got like a multi-year deal, even in say like those last couple of events of the season before, are you already thinking and worrying about what you're going to be doing the season after, or are you able to switch off until that off season?
I think you need to look forward, because if you don't look forward, then you'll never be able to move on to somewhere else you want to go. You'll always be stuck in the same position. But yeah, I think you probably start looking already from the summer where you can build a deal from, and where's the best package for yourself as well. Because, you know, once you get to the last round, it does just sort of, it's like almost going into ghost mode. From a driver's side, from my side anyway. It's different maybe for the guys when they're in the workshop every time, whereas I step away from a race car and I'm back into normal work mode. So yeah, no, definitely a little prep before the end of the season.
And as you say, look forward. Let's start with yourself. You've joined a team that's been around for a long time now. How many years?
Weirdly, I looked at this the other day. We're actually the 3rd oldest BTCC team on the grid. So the only 2 teams I believe that are older than us in their kind of original form, shall we say, is WSR and Speedworks.
Amazing.
So we are the 3rd oldest BTCC team, which seems kind of strange saying, because I think we're 12 years in the championship this year, is it? So yeah, 2015 was our first year of the championship. So 12 years in. Yeah. I can still remember the conversation with Alan when coming into the championship and telling him I was committed for at least 5 years. And we're now 12
12
years,
years later.
12 years into it, yeah. So
Are you committing to another 5 years? Or?
no.
Oh.
No commitment whatsoever. I'll be in it for as long
You're
as
building a new car now, so.
But unfortunately, there's so many things that are somewhat out of our control. We work very hard to bring in sponsorship. Unfortunately, I'm not yet anywhere near wealthy enough to be able to fund it all without external contribution. So, there's been plenty of times where it didn't look like we were going to make it, and we have every single time. So, your confidence starts to build a little bit more, and like the stress seems to wane because, when you've faced that kind of adversity in the past and you've overcome it, it gives you more confidence that you can do that again in the future. So, I want to be in the championship. It is very, very difficult. It does cause a lot of stress and heartache, but I keep coming back for a reason. I want to be here. I want to be working with the guys and girls at Powermax Racing to turn out race-winning cars, championship-winning cars. I want to be challenging for an outright championship win. We've won independent teams, we've won independent driver. The most successful team in Jack Sears Trophy, which is again a really big kind of draw for us to get Dexter back in the car, because I've absolutely no doubt we can build a car, and with Dexter's ability in the right car, we can be challenging for the Jack Sears Trophy as a minimum, but we can also be challenging for independent driver and independent teams again. So, that's exciting, but I set my goal 100% on winning the outright championship. So that's what keeps me coming back, because I haven't done that yet.
Yeah, no, I'm aware, and I know how passionate you are about going for overall honours. And just to say to you, Dexter, as well, in terms of, you guys have had some fantastic moments over these 12 years, some highs and challenges like everyone else. I think it's fair to say the last 2 years have been, I know you want more, absolutely understand that, but they have been fantastic seasons, and you've really kind of, I'd say, confirmed yourselves as one of the lead teams, outright wins. And as you say, that must fill you with huge confidence about where you can take your own career with Powermax.
Absolutely. I mean, since I joined BTCC a few years ago, I've always been under the same umbrella, as you like, in terms of teams, with different names in here. So, but it's a big opportunity for me to work with new people and very experienced people, like Martin and the guys that he's got. So it's a big opportunity for me as a driver to learn more and progress myself on understanding of how the car works, set up, and improve myself on track with performance. So that's what I'm most looking forward to. And people that are passionate about it at the end of the day, even from when the fire happened, the two of the youngest boys, Perry and Paddy, they came up and they were in my unit, and even though they were just trying to bodge something together to get it there for the weekend, they didn't have any shortcuts. Everything they were doing, I was like, can you not do that? Just do this. And they're like, no, I can't. Martin and the boys will not let me away with it. I need to do it this way. And like, I respect that a lot. They've been taught they're a lot younger than me, and it doesn't matter what situation they're in, they're trying to build it to the best ability possible. So that gives me a lot of confidence in knowing how much effort's going in. So
in a weird way, that was a week that probably really convinced you of this team's prowess. I mean, it was an emotional moment for probably everyone involved in the championship, particularly on the Friday night when we kind of had the special dispensation to do that shakedown. Like the respect levels were high, weren't they?
Yeah.
It was great for us in a lot of ways. I mean, it gave us the opportunity. Obviously, we know Dexter's in the championship, but not really seen what, there wasn't any outstanding results in there that were kind of attracted to Dexter as a driver as such. But then, we know behind the scenes how much difference the car and the team makes. You can't have an outstanding driver win in a terrible car. It's just not going to happen. So, it gave us an opportunity to obviously get to know the Patterson family much better. They gave us the use of their workshop, cleared out space for us to go up there. Our two lads practically lived in the workshop, but then they were able to see the level of attention and detail that they were putting into getting these cars ready to go racing. It was great for the younger guys in the team because they've been brought up in a particular way, and they probably think that Martin and Gaz are ridiculously hard on them, and it's unnecessarily so. But then when they saw another car and saw how different it was to our car, it gave them a great sense of respect and pride for the knowledge that's being imparted into these guys. Gaz has been in that paddock for knocking on 30 years now, isn't it? It's got to be
29, I think. Yeah.
Wow. And he's trained. You can go round.
Dexter wasn't born then.
You can genuinely go round a lot of the teams, and there are a lot of teams, even in the 12 years that we've been there are a lot of teams that have got very, very good staff that have been trained by us. We've brought in, we've always worked well with sort of universities and colleges, bringing in lots of young people, training and developing them on various different aspects of the car, the mechanics side of it, the engineering
which is
side.
another huge part of the sport, which is hugely important.
And we've not only done that with drivers in terms of being the most successful Jack Sears Trophy team. We've done that with a lot of people in the team. And these two lads that you're talking about, what are they? 20 something,
21,
21, 22, 23. Then they're not old, and I've got Dexter's dad Roddy, been around vehicles all of his life. He's got a business that's gearboxes and clutches and things like that. Knows his way around a car, and he's ringing me, complimenting me on just how amazing these two lads are.
Yeah.
And it sounds a weird thing to say, and they're not even our best staff. Do you know? But they're not.
Because they're
and it sounds weird.
at a different stage.
They're in a different stage, but they're getting compliments as though they've been in this game for 15, 20 years with tons and tons of experience. And quite frankly, they're our apprentices, and we're getting people talk about them in such high regard. And those sorts of things are the other bits away from just the actual racing that certainly brings me a great sense of pride. And I'm not the one teaching them the skills. It's Martin and Gaz that are imparting that knowledge into these people, and they should be very proud of what they're doing with these people. And they're training. Ultimately, without these guys doing that, BTCC isn't going to exist in the future. There's not many kids out there these days that want to go and get their hands dirty working on a car.
Completely agree. Yeah.
So
it's important for the sport in general, isn't it?
Yeah.
BTCC is the flagship in this country, and you find obviously Formula One has had another huge boom in recent years, but you're finding whether it's people in my type of role or engineering or whatever it might be, kind of want to go straight to Formula One, whereas maybe when we were a bit younger, you understood that you started here and you worked your way through the ranks and these championships, and without that, Formula One engineers of the future need to come from lower formula as well.
But there's plenty of stories like that of people that have done touring cars and then gone to F1 and then they're sick of travelling and
well, exactly, and miss it, of course, which I'm sure they do. But then there are other great. I mean, Pete Cronner this week's obviously just been part of the Cadillac launch, and he's one of our graduates, shall we say?
Yeah.
Is that, if that's a fair thing to say? But obviously a great guy from our.
We've had quite a few people that we've done some stuff over the years, like partnering with sort of Army Motorsport and people in the Army looking to transition from when they come out of the Army into Civvy Street, and obviously the racing paddock and the team aspect ticks a lot of boxes, like military, travelling together, staying together, working as a team, putting in the hours and all that sort of stuff. But we've had quite a few guys and girls that have come in to us, and based on their CV from the military and then their CV with us, have gone on to very successful job roles in Formula One and still travelling the world because of being involved in BTCC. So, I think those things are great to kind of champion and shout about, to show people that the only way to earn money these days isn't by constantly posting stuff on YouTube and Facebook. But people think they can just cut out the graft and jump straight. And there are plenty of other career opportunities out there by putting in the work. But we started by talking about the fire, but I want to keep trying to focus on the fact that there's so many good things that have come out of that. We wouldn't have had the opportunity to meet the Patterson family and get to know them the way we have, and have such respect for them as who they are as people. It made me look into the background of Dexter as a driver, and there's a guy out there that's actually won quite a few championships in BTCC. And when you look at a karting history, then Dexter's definitely got a karting history that would rival anybody that's on that grid. And obviously that's something that I then researched and looked into a bit more, and then we've started having conversations about whether we could get him in a car. And obviously I think he's got the ability, but to also try and repay the help and support a little bit and get him in a car. And it ticked a lot of boxes, but we've got the opportunity to build new cars again from scratch with all of the knowledge that we've got from building the Astras and developing those over the years, which has then given the the team.
Rejuvenates everybody's,
Yeah.
you know.
I always find this really interesting, and not saying I'm super educated, but I enjoy seeing a drive where I love going to speak to a driver when they might have finished 12th, but I know how hard they've grafted for that 12th. You must have races that you can remember, because it seems that unless you get a podium or a Jack Sears win or an independent win, it's kind of like that was just a result. But you must have had in touring cars some of the performances where you've gone, it might have been 11th, but you know how hard you've worked and how well you've driven.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when 10th's like a win, then it's sort of like a backwards way of thinking, but you need to deal with the situation you're in, and sometimes see where, you know, take a good day when it is there, even though it maybe doesn't look like it on paper. But yeah, that's what I mean. Like, we got 2 independent wins last year, and that was like winning the race for us. And even though that's not exactly how I want to win a race, but you know, you need to take it when you come. But yeah, just race. I think even a couple of years ago at Knockhill, we finished 6th in the wet, couldn't see where we were going, and that was a mega result. But you know, at the end of the day, want to actually win the race and be on the podium, that is the end goal.
But how hard people don't always see that, how hard people are racing for positions in 14th, 17th. You know, I mean, the great thing about ITV do a fantastic job. It's not always focus on the race winner. Of course, the race winner is more than likely to get more of that kind of coverage, but they will often jump back to a battle for 18th, and there's 4 cars going like hammer and tong, which not every championship has that, does it?
No, normally the chaos is 15th and back. Everyone's fighting for a point. But yeah, I mean, you look at F1 and, you know, there's a battle going on there, and then a couple of minutes later, you know, they show sort of everything that is going on, but it's impossible to capture every bit of madness that's going on in a BTCC race most of the time. And it doesn't really matter how good you are at filming, like,
yeah,
there's something going on at every bit of the track.
True, which we're going to come on to, because we've got obviously a change to Saturdays this year, so some more interesting stuff for ITV to try and capture. But I want to get over to yourself, Martin. We've just talked about your prowess, and rightly so. Do you feel the pressure, having had the Vauxhall was successful, obviously a great mark in the championship, you got that final win for a famous mark, and now you're bringing another famous one back into it. Do you feel pressure in terms of ensuring that car delivers out of the box, or is there a longer plan in place, or how do you see it?
No, I don't feel pressure at all. I mean, I think over the years of the Astra, we've developed it every winter, you know, and that's something that you try and explain to people of how much work's going in during the winter. So we've done lots of development and found lots of things that made pace and things like that. And then obviously the unfortunate bit with the fire had its flip side of we've got to do something else. So, you know, a lot of what we've learned previously has gone into the new design. The guys have been working on the CAD all winter to refine that, and still working on it as we speak. But I think, you know, we can see with what we've done with the shell, you know, a lot of that is carryover from what we learned, and a lot of important stuff. But I think also, you know, we took a while to choose what model we were going to use because of the aero benefits and things, but not aero benefits necessarily in any advantage, but we just got to be doing what others are doing. So, you know, the bad side of the fire's brought about a good side.
I don't think the way that you say about being under pressure, we don't really create that environment at the workshop, in the team, or anything like that. Like, I think pressure comes in a lot of ways when you're maybe when you're not doing the work and you're expecting a result without putting the graft in. But, you know, everybody behind the scenes, they're kind of crossing the T's, dotting the I's. They're doing the work that we need to do to do well. You know, I'm sure, you know, ultimately if we build a car and we go out there and it's not as competitive as we thought it might be, you know, we will obviously feel a bit of disappointment. But we will scratch our heads and we will find the route to getting it to being competitive. But I think everybody knows how much work's going on behind the scenes. We're all doing our best, and that is generally good enough. So I don't think anybody feels like a massive weight on their shoulders to kind of deliver a race winning car, because it's kind of just what we do. I know that might sound really arrogant thing to say, but it's we're going through the motions. We're doing the work. We're doing the practice.
Yeah.
We're doing the hard yards to make sure that it is a competitive car. So, and we have got the track record to prove that. We built. Martin previously to that has been involved with building cars that have gone out of the first round and been very successful. We built the Astra, and at the very first weekend we ended up with a third place finish with Tom Chilton in its very first outing. So we've already set that bar, that a podium in its first race weekend. So of course,
No pressure, but he has just mentioned.
He has just mentioned the pressure.
previous
Yeah,
Astra Golf.
no, but it's set the bar, hasn't it? And of course, that's what we're here to do. That's.
But this is a professional. It's professional motorsport, so you're not building a new car thinking I'll be happy with the 10th this weekend. And
No, of course.
And for me that kind of goes with Jack Sears' results as well. You're aiming for the highest position physically possible. First 3 steps ideally, and things like the Jack Sears should come naturally with those things as well.
Yeah. And looking at the mark itself, I know deals are done slightly differently in terms of choosing which car, but still a fantastic mark to bring back in, isn't it? I mean, I know recent history, Rob Austin maybe, but some of us older folk will think back to, and funnily enough, in your pub, your lovely establishment that we're in, I should mention, it's a glorious place, by the way. Lots of memorabilia out there, and I saw the Frank Bieler Audi that sits on I think it's like a Top Gear board game that you've got out there or something. But yeah, and a fantastic mark to bring back in as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and hopefully, it helps us in terms of, again, people wanting to be associated with that. It's a prestigious name in its own right, and hopefully that kind of helps us bring some sort of sponsorship and partners to the table because they want to be associated with that brand. But it's a good car, a good shape, a good mark. I think I'm confident we're going to build a car that looks absolutely fantastic. So I'm quite excited to see it out on track the first time, but for me, it's all about the first race weekend because we can go to all the testing events in the world and you never truly know what people have got going on until you get to the first race weekend and do qualifying for real. So that's for me the bit that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
Just a bit of a fun one looking back on the. I saw a Rover at the old base day we were talking about, which is the first touring car that I remember. Probably my era was the Rover. Like we're going to show all of our ages now. So, Martin, what's your first BTCC memory? Not necessarily working in it. And what's your favourite car as well? I'm going to throw this one around to everyone.
Favourite car? First memory, probably, I don't know. Maybe the Lagunas, maybe.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. And then favourite car, I don't know. I'm going to go with the new Audi.
Oh, on brand. I love it.
So for me, BTCC was a thing of the TV. So my dad raced go-karts and was in National Gearbox Championship. So I spent most weekends at a kart track. So BTCC was very much kind of TV viewing around that with my dad. Not many kind of visits to trackside, but my first proper job out of school was actually working for Renault. And it was around the same time as the Lagunas, so Nescafe 47, and obviously, and been to Renault head office quite a few times with various different training courses and things like that. Sat in the one that was in their kind of reception and things like that. So Lagunas probably would be a strong kind of link to BTCC for me.
Dexter, your memory.
He's just saying Vauxhall Astra.
Yeah, 2017 or something.
One from years and years and years ago, and they'll name one from a few years back.
Late 2000, probably my first memory. I guess shedding, orange Civic.
Yeah,
is probably what
classic.
I remember. My favourite's actually the Subaru Levogue. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
It really was. It was quick.
That was the GT car that they labelled a BTCC car, wasn't it?
It looked cool.
We'll scrub that out.
We'll understand.
It was a quick car, very good car, and it was cool.
Yeah, I remember going to Knockhill and must have been Sutton at the time, coming through first corner, 2 wheels. It was mega.
Yeah, and you mentioned Shedden there. Were you patriotic? Was that were you following the Scottish drivers at the time when you
Probably
were
a
young
bit,
lad?
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Now you want to beat them all.
yeah, that's the weird thing about the championship. I mean, most other championships you go to, everybody moves on after a couple of years, whereas the names stay for 10, 15 years. I mean, my first year was Jason's last year, and that was a bit weird. You know, you watch Fifth Gear and whatever on the telly when you're younger, and that was quite weird racing against him. But Ian Gordon as well, you know, he's always been helpful and given a lot of advice. So then to be able to see how he actually does it on track with different stuff from, you know, a first person point of view.
Yeah.
When you've got a lot of respect for him as a driver.
You constantly learning from, because it's obviously, it is a team sport in the sense of obviously you as an organisation, but you only have sometimes one or two teammates. Do you still look up and down the paddock in terms of taking tidbits that you can learn, anything that you see from, I always used to say, I'm not going to talk to the young driver that I used to speak to who maybe didn't put the prep in that I believed he should have done, because I tried to use Colin Turkington as an example. You know, he won it all.
I think he does put the prep in. That's unfair on Colin.
Colin knows. Colin does put the prep in, and that was my point, is that he'd raced every circuit 1 million times and won 4 titles or whatever, but he's still out there doing the track walk at,
Yes,
you know,
absolutely.
late on a Thursday night or whatever, and then again in the morning. Do you kind of look at those drivers and you think, you must take stuff from looking around the paddock, that the experience up and down the paddock is phenomenal?
I think you need to. There's probably a certain 3 or 4 that I look at and I respect very highly for what they've done in the championship, and either very, I forgot the word, disciplined in what they do, and yeah, when you're outside the championship, you don't get to see it from another driver's view, but when you're there racing against them, or just even about the paddock and stuff, you know, you understand why they are at the level they're at.
And also learning some of this type of stuff, how you find in the media side, because I bet it's kind of different to most championships in the country. The level of interest, fans on the weekend, is that a strange thing to you at first, or you?
It was definitely at first, yeah. I never probably understood it as much because I was in the single-seater route. I didn't come through any of the junior categories, so I came straight from a Formula 3 car to a tin top Infinity, which was just the weirdest thing ever. And then to come into the championship, from being out in Europe for a while, it's a very different type of championship to come from. It is very patriotic in one sense, and you know the fan base is very loyal. But that's what it makes it so good.
In terms of the fans, and then it's say when you see Lou Goodman running over with a microphone, are you totally comfortable in that environment now, or is there still a part of you that's sort of the heart flutters if you're about to go live on TV?
Oh, right, sorry.
You meant heart.
Oh, no, I mean, absolutely. Why shouldn't your heart flutter when Lou runs towards you?
Not so much now, I wouldn't say. Probably in the first year, you're a bit like a deer in the headlights with stuff.
Yeah.
Just probably remember not to swear.
Yeah. I'm reminding myself of that at this precise
I think
moment.
we've done really well.
We have done quite well. We have been swearing most of today.
None
so we've
edited
probably
out
got
at all.
most of our foul language out of the way already. You just mentioned a certain driver that you raced against in your first season. We might as well bring some general BTCC topics up whilst we're here. Jason Plato, he is back in a totally different guise. Exciting stuff for the championship. How do you guys look at it from a competitor perspective? I mean, you don't have enough time to stop and think about what that means or care, I suppose. But from a championship perspective, is that fun for you guys?
I mean, from my point of view, there's 2 things there. I think it's absolutely fantastic for the championship to have a name like Jason to come back to the championship in another capacity. I mean, I was quite disappointed that he didn't find a way to kind of stay involved in the championship in some way, shape, or form, even if that was for ITV maybe. So I think it's a great thing for the championship. But I also quite like the fact that, you know, he used to give me a fair amount of stick as the team principal, and now he's in that role himself. So
very true.
You know,
yeah.
It's a bit like when I actually had my first child, and then actually reaching out to my parents and thanking them for being such amazing parents. I can't believe the grief I put you through. He will experience some pains from the other side of the fence now, and kind of appreciate just how difficult it is to put a touring car team together and go racing.
I've just had my first thought thinking of looking down the pit lane and seeing him headset and stuff. It just actually feels kind of surreal thinking of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, there's so much involved in running a team, building cars, ordering cable ties, blue roll, and I think, it must be a challenge for him at the minute. I'm sure he'll get his head around it, and he's got great people around him, but it's just be interesting to get his feedback at some point of going, bloody hell, this is not what I thought it was going to be.
And a new team, new drivers, another combination to race against, and another new car on the grid as well, which is good.
I think it's good for the championship anyway, bringing new stuff in. At the end of the day, that's what people are interested in. They always want more and something new. Was it something new, but also from the past? So 100% is good.
And the rules that we were able to kind of cement with a few changes for all the way through to 2031, which we've done now, does that help with the kind of, I know it's still very expensive and I know you're going to tell me it's still very hard and you're only committing to the one season, but does that help all of the teams kind of plan a little bit for the next 3, 4, 5 years?
It's the right thing to do. I don't think there's a single team in the paddock that would have relished going out and spending, obviously we've got a big chunk of money through insurance to be able to build our cars. But, if every team had to go out there and effectively find another £250,000 to build all new cars with all new kit and components, I don't think any of the teams out there have got that kind of resources behind them that they'd gladly rush out and do that. So to actually kind of embrace the rules and regulations that have been in place to continue, I think it's the right thing to do. And at the end of the day, I mean, if it's not broke, don't try and fix it.
Do you find that interesting, Mike, from a engineering perspective? You see another car, do you go and kind of have a look at what other teams are doing when it comes to a new car, or is it just full focus on your own? It's
interesting, obviously, but during the winter, we're doing what we're doing, focusing on ourselves. We don't know what anybody else is doing because you never see it. I'm sure come the first test, a few people will be looking at what people have done and things like that. But, full focus is just on our own performance at the minute and building what we're building. And like I say, I think the shift in the championship a bit away from hatchback cars will, most people are in the same boat. So.
Yeah, so I suppose probably the other biggest development, well, it's the largest development in history in terms of qualifying. Now the added excitement of a race to set the grid on Sunday, but also, I must admit, when we announced it, I was probably more surprised about the amount of points we ended up all agreeing on. It's a significant chunk of points on offer on a Saturday as well, isn't it?
I think it just makes Saturday even more important than it already was. Because you need to watch out, and if there's a race involved, then you also don't want to be rebuilding a car for Sunday. So how that will play out, you'll have people being a little bit more conservative, and then people pushing a little bit harder. So it's like take your chances when you need to and when you don't. But yeah, from a driver's point of view as well, you need to be on the limit a lot quicker. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a lot more tricky.
So does this make FP1 kind of hugely vital in terms of you've just got one opportunity now to be ready for qualifying, and then the race, which since we've ratified the rules, comes quite soon after qualifying, doesn't it? It's only a short
yeah, I mean, it makes the whole day massively important. You're not going to have as much time for doing some housekeeping, scrubbing tyres, things like that. But everything needs to be about qualifying now.
Yeah.
And then, because the further up the grid you are in that, then, you've got the race to move a bit further forward. But again, everybody needs to be a bit mindful in the race. So it'd be interesting to see different people's mentalities.
Yeah, that was what I was going to raise to yourself, because naturally with racing, of course you can have accidents in qualifying, and we do, but naturally with racing comes an extra threat and a bigger concern. You could have engineers and mechanics working very hard on a Saturday evening. That has to come into your mindset, doesn't it, I guess, in terms of points are on offer.
I think from my point of view, I'm first and foremost, I'm a fan. I enjoy the racing. I enjoy it being competitive. Turning Saturday into a race makes it way more exciting from a fan perspective, and that's something that I wanted to kind of support. Yes, there's a load more risk there that we may incur a load more damage as a team and therefore a load more cost. But obviously the cars go out and race on a Sunday, and sometimes with the later starts, we might be racing at 12 o'clock and then again at 2:30, 3 o'clock. The guys have a couple of hours to make a repair between race 1 and race 2. Not that I want the guys and girls working all night long, but obviously we've got all night to fix a car if we have to fix a car.
Yeah.
So we actually have way more time than we ever get on race day. But I'm just hopeful that, the BTCC comes to life on a Sunday when 30, 40,000 people arrive at track. A Saturday might be 3, 4, 5,000 people spread out, across a country estate like Alton Park. It doesn't feel like very many. But if we can get 15, 20,000 people start coming on a Saturday, and we can have that feeling on a Saturday as well as a Sunday, it can only be great for the championship, and that's something I really want to be a part of. And as a driver and as a team and anybody that's into racing, it's half the distance and half the points. It's still a race.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether it's 10 minutes long, 20 minutes or 30 minutes. It's still a race, and everybody still wants to win it, and they still want to get on the podium. It's a race. It could be 3 laps, and it would still be a race. So I think it'll bring a great deal more excitement. From your point of view, would you class yourself as a better racer or a better qualifier?
Probably racer, in my opinion.
So, there are a few people out there, and there's certainly people over the years that they have been incredible at qualifying. They may be able to get into the top 5 or 6 from a qualifying point of view, but from a racing perspective, they then drop back very quickly. But then it plays into the hands of people that can race, and, that's going to determine their grid positions for Sunday. I think it's going to be really exciting.
And for those of you who don't know, you can swat up via the BTCC website in terms of those rule changes. Effectively, another 100 points on offer this season, so it's going to have probably the biggest swing on a championship outlook that we've had in modern history. Right, guys, we are going to finish our first BTCC roundtable on a rectangular table podcast with a few quick fire questions. I'll start with you, Martin. First one I've got here: who is more stressed during race weekends, driver, team principal, or team manager?
Team manager.
He doesn't show it.
True, he has the same look at all moments. I don't know when he's annoyed, upset, happy.
You'll know when I'm annoyed.
Oh, yes! Damn it!
We got to bleep that.
I nearly got there. Okay, all right, we'll carry on. One word to describe the upcoming season.
Exciting.
That wasn't exciting. It's just.
What other word did you repeat?
I don't know.
What would you use?
I don't know. No fair, you've done it now.
Revolutionary. I mean,
this has nothing to do with motorsport. What is the biggest animal you think you could take in a fight?
Labrador.
Yeah. A gorilla, man.
A what?
A gorilla.
You think you can take a gorilla in a fight?
Why not?
I can think of quite a few reasons why.
I'm off.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
For the record, I don't.
Best service station in the UK, Martin?
T-Bay.
TV, yeah.
Really?
That's
like
the one of
TV.
Scotland. Yeah.
No.
It's expensive.
They're all quite expensive, to be fair.
Well,
thing...
there are a couple of things on the side of the road when you go into Croft that are like swingers clubs and stuff, aren't there, on the left-hand side? Do they count? I think they're called something Compulse.
Okay. One thing, apart from that story, that people would be surprised to learn about you, Adam Weaver.
What? God.
That you're a nice guy. That would surprise people, wouldn't it?
People who know me, that wouldn't be a surprise, I don't think.
Oh, no, true.
But thank you.
I didn't say that.
Surprise about me. That's I really don't. I don't know. I'm going to think on that one a lot, to be honest. But I don't.
Villa fan.
No, I don't think that'd surprise people, to be honest.
Fair enough. Okay, we're ending with yourself, Dexter. And you can say yourself if you want to, but who is going to win the 2026 Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship overall?
Need back myself.
You're backing yourself?
Why not?
I love it. I absolutely love it.
To be honest, I'd have been really, really annoyed if he'd have said anything else.
I admire that, and I think that is a perfect way to finish our first ever podcast. So thanks for joining us. Cheers, guys.
Thanks very much for tuning in. If you're listening to us on an audio platform, give us a follow. And if you're on YouTube, like and subscribe. Thanks very much.